Now before we move on with anything else, I need to cover deforming bones. This is a very important lecture. The reason why is because every bone has a box in which, if ticked, enters the deform function. This basically, what this does is it gives our bones weight once we connect them to our mesh. So if we tick the box that says deform, then when we move that object about, then it's going to manipulate or deform the mesh. So basically this is useful. This is basically for the skeleton part of your armature. So any bones that are inside of your mesh that make up your mesh's skeleton, we want their deform boxes to be ticked. However, we don't want IK bones to be deformers because they are the pivot points so that our skeletons can move around. If we tick the deform box for an IK bone and manipulate it, then we will find that our mesh deforms in a way that is very much unnatural and very much not what we want. So all we're going to do in this lecture is untick the boxes for deforming bones for the IK bones. So let's do this in Blender. So, as a head-on from the previous lecture, you should have completed the challenge where you have renamed most, if not all, of your bones. Now, one thing that you probably would not have done, but if you did I'll give you extra credit, is for anything on your left hand side, so any bones attached to the arms or the legs, I have named them and then I've put .l. Now I advise you do this too, and the reason why is because when we mirror all of these bones over to the right hand side, Blender is going to be very clever and it's going to name the mirrored bones appropriately. So for example, when I mirror my upper arm .l over to the right hand side, it will be renamed by default to upper arm .r for right. So that's why I've named them .l. You don't have to do that, but I would recommend that you do. Further down we can see a box that says deform and it's currently ticked. Every single bone that you create will have this box ticked because by default Blender believes that when you create a bone it is for the purpose of deforming a mesh, which it is correct in assuming. So if you have any bones inside of your mesh, so for example your upper arm, your spine, your head, you want this to be ticked, and near enough all the time every bone is going to be ticked by default. For us, the ones that we want to untick are the wrist, ankle, knee and elbow. So let's do that now. So we'll click on the wrist. Now I actually haven't renamed this one, it's just called .001, so I'm going to rename this as wrist. Sorry for that, I'm not sure what happened there with my computer. So wrist.l, and now I'm going to just click off, and I'm going to do the same. So I'm going to rename this as ankle.l. Click to make sure deform is off. Do the same with elbow and do the same with knee. So for us, only 4 bones will have the deform option as off. And there you go. Once you have mirrored this, hopefully Blender will understand that the mirrored version should also have their deforms off. So once we mirror, say, the elbow left, then the right elbow will have the deform button off, but I would recommend checking that when we get to that point. So that's how we can tick and untick the deform option for our bones. Very, very important that we are aware of this, guys. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.